Hey, my name is Claire. Welcome to my first video. I'm super excited to be here. I'm excited to tell you all about what I read, watched, and listened to in May. So let's jump into it. I don't just read books, and I'm the kind of person who has a lot of hobbies, dabbles in a lot of different things, so I kind of wanted to talk about some additional stuff, you know, the movies that I watch and the TV shows that I watch and, you know, music and stuff like that. That being said, I then got to the end of this month and was like, okay, let's round it all up. And all I did was read this month. It was just a big reading month. I didn't really watch. I watched a couple movies, which I might touch on, I don't know. I did these chronologically, how I read over the month. And the first one that I did, heavy hitter here, to start us off, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I like this book a lot. I thought that it was really, the writing style was what stood out most to me. It's a retelling of the story of Achilles, told from the point of view of Patroclus. Story of Achilles, told from the point of view of Patroclus. I blitzed through it really quick, really fabulous. It's not hard to access at all, even though the story is old, but it still retained this really fabulous mythic quality to it. It still felt like you were reading a legend, like a dream or something like that. I just enjoyed it a lot, and I think I gave this on my Goodreads. It's a 4 out of 5. And fabulous. Moving on. Okie dokie. Next up, American Gods, by Neil Gaiman. This is about a man who gets out of prison after a few years, and he meets a man who gives him a job, and for a number of reasons he takes the job, and basically they end up going on a big old road trip. It is revealed to him that he's actually in the midst of a war between old gods, so gods that we associate with religions, you know, Greek gods, Norse gods, gods of Christianity, as well against new gods. So they kind of classify that as things that people worship in the modern sense, so things like money, technology, highways, cars, all that kind of stuff. This was really great. I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads. It was more like a 3.5. This is really slow paced. I read the Goodreads reviews after I read this book, and a lot of people didn't like that there was a large portion, not a large portion, but a substantial portion of this book that just takes place in a Wisconsin town in the middle of winter. I kind of liked that. I liked how it was like he just chilled there and he got to know the community, and yeah, I liked how it just kind of moseyed its way through for a large portion of it. That being said, the last 20%, like the big action bit where you want the war to actually happen, was not as exciting or I think as earned as I would have liked it to be. I would have liked it to really ramp up, but overall I really like this book. I was thinking about after I read it that it reminded me a lot of an adult version of Percy Jackson. I loved Percy Jackson when I read them in middle school, grade 6, 7, 8-ish. Yeah, what I liked about it was how they integrated the old Greek gods and the mythology and stuff like that into new aspects, like how they were reimagined. And I like how they do that in this book as well. So if you like Percy Jackson, but you're not into middle grade fiction anymore, which was kind of me, yeah, this book is really good. 3.5. That is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. This is really good. This is another exciting read, another big read. In terms of, I've seen this book everywhere, and I was not expecting to read it really at all, just wasn't on my radar. But then I went to a little library, or I walked by one and saw it there, and I was like, whoa, this is a big deal book. I don't know if you guys are familiar with little libraries. They're little, just out on the street, and you can take a book, leave a book, all that kind of stuff. So I was just so surprised, because usually it's older books or books that aren't super popular, but I found Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens in a little library near my house, and what a find. This book was really, really fabulous. I read it in one day, in 3 sittings, which is, for me, a big deal. So yeah, I was surprised to find it, I was surprised to read it, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I think that this book really meshes well the 2 timelines that it has. Basically what happens is, in the 60s, there's a body that's found in a small community, and the second timeline is tracing a girl who's involved in this story, who lives in a marsh. on the outskirts of town, and it follows her life, how she's abandoned by a lot of her family, how she raises herself, and how that relates to this modern story of this murder. So it was really, really great. I thought that it was really realistic, really real and raw, and the writing was really beautiful. So yeah, I thought it was really great. Again, I gave this one, I think, 4 stars on Goodreads. Really fabulous. Where the Crawdads Sing. This is Sula by Toni Morrison. This is my second Toni Morrison book, and this one was really fabulous. A couple months ago, I read Home, which is a later work. This is an early work, or earliest work. Unfortunately, I'm not sure, but this one was really great. It traces the lives of these 2 women, Nell and Sula, in their community in Ohio. If you know anything about Morrison, you know she's a fabulous writer. She just does so much with so little in this book. It's 178 pages. Every word here is chosen, is purposeful in this. There's a lot of themes of like how we feel about our own bodies, how we feel about other bodies, race in America, being a woman, relationships between men and women, and how those develop and deteriorate, and what leads to them being healthy or unhealthy. Mother-daughter, sibling relationships all play heavily in this, and it was really wonderful. And what's really cool about reading this after having read Home, like I said, which is a later book, it was cool to see how much of her style was already in her writing at this point. This was written in the 70s, and how much changes and develops happen by the time Home comes around. So really great. Again, I think I gave this 4 stars. This is one that I don't want to touch on too quick because it was really short. I read the first volume of the Heartstopper series. Put it right. The first volume of 4 by Alice Oseman. Really great. If you are not familiar with it, I've seen it floating around a little bit. It's a graphic novel about a boy in Britain. He's in year 9 or 10 or whatever the high school equivalent in Britain is. I'm Canadian, I'm not sure, I'm sorry. He kind of falls in love with a classmate, and it traces their, in this first volume, the relationship, and they become friends, and how it kind of leads on from there. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it was really short. I didn't think it was going to be as short as it was. I read it like in 45 minutes. I was just like on my Libby app, and I was like, oh, I should check that out. And then it's over, and can't get volume 2 for another 6 to 8 weeks. That was sad, but I'll let you guys know what I thought of it maybe once I read volume 2, 3, and then 4 eventually as well. But that might be a little ways away, unfortunately. But it was great. Now, this is one that I want to devote a separate video to because I have a lot of feelings about this. I have Robert Jordan's The Great Hunt, which is the second book in the Wheel of Time series. This series is a behemoth in the fantasy, epic fantasy genre. This book was okay. It's complicated how I feel about this book because I still love the characters and I still like the series and want to see where the series is going, but this book really did not do it for me. I liked the first book quite a bit, which is The Eye of the World. Really fabulous. The whole story itself is about these 5 young people. They're like late teens, early 20s. They get plucked from their small community, and they realize that they're all wrapped up in the prophecies, and this chosen one kind of prophecy to defeat the Dark One. You know, it's a lot of real classic fantasy stuff. My issues with it were, I felt that some of the characters were not written faithfully, in my opinion, and I felt like it dragged a lot in the second half, which, I mean, the first one did too, and I hear that that's kind of a common thread through a lot of these books. That's not the biggest sin in my book. Fun. But yeah, I will talk about this probably in another video. I'm currently reading the third one, and I want to talk about the first one, but if you've read the series or you're reading the series, please talk to me. Because I need someone to talk to about this and my feelings, but that's The Great Hunt. Bang, 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 bang. And I have one more book. This is great. I finished this book with like 20 minutes to spare in the month of May, so I don't believe in guilty pleasures per se. I feel like we should just like what we like. It's all good. That being said, this does get pretty close to that line. I read a Star Trek: The Next Generation novel. This book is called Grounded. It's by David Bischoff, and it's really great. I won't bore you guys too much with the details, but I finished Star Trek: The Next Generation and loved it about 7 or 8 months ago, and thought that the next logical step would be to go to the next TV show, which is Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is also fabulous. I haven't quite finished it. I just don't love it as much as I liked Next Gen. So after that, I learned that there were books. So I didn't like purposely go out and look for this one, but I was in a thrift store a few days ago and it was $1, and I was like, it's not really like I'm going to lose if I pay $1 for a Star Trek book. This book is great. Aesthetically, fabulous. This book was published in 1992 and I don't think it's been opened since. There's still a sticker on the back from the original bookstore. It looks great. The actual story itself is pretty great if you're familiar with The Next Generation. The Enterprise is on a mission and they reach a space station that they're supposed to help at. They beam down and then shenanigans ensue. I don't want to get too much into it because that'll give away too much of the plot. This is great. A lot of why this was great is related to the actual TV show and what that sets up. I love the characters. The characters are fabulous. For the most part, they're written pretty okay, pretty great. So it was really great. It was fun to read it. The plot itself, not bad. If you are familiar with the show, I would equate it to like a late season mid-tier episode. So like season 6, 7, which would fit because that's when the book is written, right around the end of the show. Like a mid-tier episode. It's not, A-level, but it's not the worst that Star Trek ever entered into. And I've been there, done that, and not really looking to go back again into the deep darks of bad Star Trek Next Gen episodes. So this was good though. This was it's just like reading an episode. I don't know what else I can tell you. But already I've spent far too much time on a book about a TV show that is 35 years old. So I will not bore you anymore. But yeah, this was really great. Fabulous. Those are all the books that I read this month. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have anything you are more interested in learning about me or want to see me review or talk about. I have a couple things planned. But yeah, vibing with this. This is fun. If you liked it, leave a like, comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these things. Subscribe if you're feeling generous and you like the content that I'm going to be making. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye!